The campus belle was surrounded by several thugs, and to protect the campus belle Yvonne, the childhood friend was cornered by 8 hooligans. When the police found him, his pants were soaked in blood. The once arrogant young master had become a laughingstock, ridiculed by everyone. Even the campus belle who had promised to repay his kindness avoided him like the plague. "Brother Yancey, they keep asking me, if you can still be a man." I really don't want to answer these hurtful questions, so I can only stay away from you." Only I, unafraid of the rumors, resolutely upheld the old agreement between our families and married him. On our wedding day, he said to me in front of everyone, "Even if I reluctantly married you, you'll never compare to Yvonne." Everyone laughs at me for being a simp, loving Yancey without any bottom line. Hilarious, who said I was here to love him? That very night, I locked him in the basement and played the videos of him with those thugs over and over again. At the wedding, with a devout expression, I knelt on one knee. I slipped the ring symbolizing love onto the ring finger of the left hand of Yancey, who sat in a wheelchair. "Yancey, from now on, whether in poverty or wealth, in sickness or health, I will treat you sincerely and never betray you." Thunderous applause erupted on the scene, accompanied by a few faint, mocking chuckles. Yancey's parents were overjoyed, shedding tears as if they had finally sold a defective piece of stock at a high price. Only Yancey's face was pale. With reddened eyes, he stared at me resentfully and spoke the only line he delivered throughout the entire wedding banquet, "Sterling, you will never compare to Yvonne." Yvonne, his lifelong, unwavering true love. That day, Yvonne was cornered by a group of hoodlums in an alley. I hid at the entrance of the alley and sent a photo to Yancey, saying, "Your beloved is in danger, come quickly." The passion of youth is always an impulsive force that charges ahead heedlessly. Yancey rushed alone into the alley, his pampered nature utterly unaware of danger. Even in the humiliating predicament of being beaten to his knees, he still shouted with unyielding spirit, "If you've got a problem, take it out on me. Don't pick on a girl." And so, the hooligans laughed and fondled his handsome, delicate face, truly taking it out on him. In mere seconds, Yancey went from pretending to curse fiercely, to groveling in submission, to screaming in agonizing collapse. By the time the police arrived, Yancey was broken, shattered both physically and psychologically. The doctors said he had a massive infection, and as a last resort, they had to perform an ostomy. He would have to live with a colostomy bag for the rest of his life. Yvonne, whom he had heroically saved from distress, was just promising Yancey's parents a moment ago that she would take care of Yancey for a lifetime. The next moment, upon hearing this dreadful news, she retched and ran into the bathroom. Yancey's parents, who had always been indifferent toward me, suddenly became very warm and friendly. "Sterling, you're all Yancey has left. You've liked him since you were little, you won't dislike him now, right? Actually, even though we didn't say it, we had long decided that you are the only daughter-in-law for our family." With reddened eyes and a deeply moved expression, I tried to hold back my laughter until my stomach ached. "Auntie, uncle, please don't say such things. My love for Yancey isn't that shallow. No matter what he becomes, I will always love him. So, let's get married." Just thinking about being able to see Yancey in his pitiful, half-human, half-ghost state every day from now on made me incredibly happy. So, in response to Yancey's comment that I am not as good as Yvonne, I magnanimously reached out my hand, gently stroking his cold and trembling cheek, saying, "It's fine. What matters is not that Yvonne possesses you, but that I do, and that is enough." Towards the end of the wedding, Yvonne appeared gracefully, dressed in a gown that looked even more bridal than mine. Fighting back tears, she forced herself to play the role of a critical yet well-meaning senior, saying, "Sterling, it is for the sake of Yancey's better life that I have given him up to you. Always remember that the title of Mrs. Yancey was something you struggled hard to obtain. So, you must do better than I ever did." Those words left Yancey trembling all over. He gazed at Yvonne with deep affection, yet with a sense of timidity, almost as if he wanted to pour out all his love without holding anything back. He never could have imagined that during his time in the hospital, behind Yvonne's every earnest visit was a sum of money contributed by his parents. "My family isn't well off, but as an only daughter, my parents would absolutely never allow me to marry someone with a disability. The rumors about Yancey at school are endless, and visiting him every day comes with risks. My parents say it's better to spend that time working to help support the family. Faced with Yancey's parents, Yvonne spoke with the cutting precision of an unfeeling AI. But for their son, what choice did they have? They could only force a smile and hand over the money. We're just asking you to spend time with him, not change his diapers. Consider it a job. The pay is negotiable, and we'll take care of anything you need help with in the future. So how could she not come? On one hand, to dispel her own resentment over Yancey's lack of ambition, which prevented her from marrying into a wealthy family smoothly. On the other hand, she wanted to disgust me and make sure Yancey never forgot her. As long as Yancey couldn't forget her, she would always have something to gain. Seeing my silence, she thought she had the upper hand. Sterling, even though you're married to Yancey, you can only be a couple in name. The doctor said his body isn't suitable for intimacy, let alone having children. He can't excrete on his own, so you'll have to catheterize him manually. Even if the colostomy bag isn't clean, you'll have to reach in and clean it bit by bit. He's too sensitive to let nurses do these things for him, you'll have to do it yourself. With every word she spoke, Yancey's face flushed with humiliation. As if imagining these awkward and shameful scenes, he looked at me with eyes full of hatred. I just smiled faintly. Yvonne, you really are thoughtful. But my hands are clumsy, I can't figure out how to catheterize or clean a colostomy bag. Why don't you give me a demonstration? Yvonne's triumphant expression froze on her face. She probably never expected that someone like me, a sycophant who always pandered to Yancey's moods, would one day lose respect for her, his beloved white moonlight, and turn against her. Panicked, she forced out a strained retort, enough. I came here to sincerely wish Yancey well, not to endure your insults. With that, she maintained what little dignity she had left and walked away without so much as a backward glance, her pride intact. Husband, Yvonne thinks helping you with catheterization is humiliating, I said lightly, filled with pity for Yancey. He bristled like a porcupine. Sterling, stop projecting your own malice onto others. The decision not to let Yvonne take care of me was mine. She's the woman I love, and I absolutely cannot bear to let her suffer with me. And as for you, he lifted his chin, as if only in front of me could he regain the pride of a young master, since you chose to jump into this pit of fire yourself, I'll give you the chance to serve me like a beast of burden. He seemed completely willing to save Yvonne, yet when faced with the bridal suite, he broke down and cried his heart out. Sterling, you shouldn't have sent me that photo. He clenched the hem of his shirt tightly. Why didn't you call the police earlier? Why didn't you warn me that there were so many people in that alley, I couldn't have fought them off? You should have stopped me, you shouldn't have let me go. It's you. It's all your fault. You ruined me. I stared coldly at his face, twisted beyond recognition. The blurred features overlapped with his image from my previous life. Yes, my previous life. In that life, he had also choked me with the same ferocity, blaming me over and over, you ruined me. It's just that, in the previous life, he didn't blame me for failing to stop him from saving Yvonne. Instead, it was, Sterling. You played the hero all by yourself. Whose fault is it that you got raped? Why should I take responsibility for your mistake? Why should I, because of you, not be able to marry the woman I love most? You've ruined me. In the previous life, I was the one who saved Yvonne. To buy time for the police to come to the rescue, I played a siren recording at the entrance of the alley. While the thugs scattered in panic, I grabbed Yvonne's arm and ran outside without looking back. But after the thugs realized what was happening, she pushed me right into their encirclement. I endured the most brutal abuse and lost all my dignity by the time I was sent to the ICU. Yet Yvonne, the one who started it all, knelt before Yancey, pleading with him. I was just so scared at the time, afraid I'd never see you again. Brother Yancey, please save me, don't let Sterling sue me. With injuries as severe as hers, she's bound to seek revenge. My life will be ruined because of her. And so, Yancey, who had always been indifferent to me, held flowers and a ring, kneeling before my hospital bed with one knee in front of my parents. He told me that Yvonne, while fleeing from guilt, had been in a severe car accident. "Sterling, she's already dead, your suffering is over. We were childhood sweethearts, promised to each other since we were young. Marry me. I'll take care of you for a lifetime. Let me guide you out of the darkness, okay?" My resolve was weak. After enduring such intense pain, I desperately wanted to lean on someone. Even if Yancey's parents, who had looked down on my family more and more as their business grew, were extremely resistant to me and accused me of ruining Yancey's life. Yet, under Yancey's insistence and the heartbroken, anxious gazes of my parents, I still agreed. Yancey indeed treated me very well, completely changing from the coldness he once showed me. Every day, he clung to me with endless sweet words, leaving me no time to dwell on Yvonne's death. All I wanted was a fresh start. I thought that my wedding with Yancey would mark a crooked, imperfect end to the love and sorrow of my youth. But on the wedding day, I saw Yvonne, who was supposed to be dead, appear in the groom's resting room, kissing Yancey without restraint. "Sterling is tainted, you mustn't touch her. Let me make up the wedding night for you here." I gave my all to build a teetering whole world, only to have it come crashing down. I broke down, screaming hysterically at them, demanding to know why. I had done nothing wrong, I owed none of them anything. Why be so cruel, why torment me to death? Yet all I got in return was Yancey gripping my throat tightly, saying, "Oh, nothing to us? How dare you say that, Sterling? If it weren't for your parents insisting on suing Yvonne, how could I have come up with the idea of having her fake her death? You think being raped makes you pitiable? You've already become my wife, while Yvonne has to live in hiding for the rest of her life. You're the one who ruined us. In my past life, I nearly died from his choking, yet it earned me no pity at all. In this life, I watch coldly as Yancey endures the suffering of my past life, struggling desperately. It was you who harmed me." I shrugged my shoulders and let out a long sigh. The joy of initial revenge makes me feel at ease, so I simply dropped the act. "Yes, indeed, I was the one who harmed you. So what? If you have the ability, get up from that wheelchair and hit me." Yancey's eyes, filled with bloodshot, suddenly widen. He stares at me in disbelief, as if he no longer recognizes me. As if he didn't understand what I said. "What did you say? You, say it again?" I smiled, walking silently up to him. Without any warning, I reached out and grabbed his hair, yanking him straight out of his wheelchair. "Ah!" I ignored Yancey's frantic screams, swiftly mounting him. I slapped him relentlessly, left and right, one blow after another, each motion deliberate and ruthless. "You filthy slut." Looking down at him from above, I sneered, "What gives a lowlife like you the right to put on airs with me? Still thinking you're some precious young master? Just a cheap slut begging for it. Why should I treat you with reverence? Don't know your place, huh? I'll beat it into you." Yancey was so thoroughly beaten by me that his entire body became stiff and convulsive, unable to even let out a whimper. I know that being violated feels exactly like this, constantly suspicious, seeing enemies everywhere. Without waiting for the other party to abuse me again, fear had already completely stripped me of any ability to resist. But so what? In my past life, he treated me exactly the same way. I couldn't be generous enough to return it to him one for one. So, I gave it back to him tenfold. I didn't stand up until his colostomy bag leaked, filling the air with a foul stench. Stretching my wrists, I said, "Clean this up yourself. If I come back later and the floor is still dirty, I'll beat you to death." A chilling voice, icy. Yancey trembled violently. Covering his swollen, red face, he stared blankly for a good while before bursting into tears, weak and frail, truly like a white flower swaying in the wind. Deep in his subconscious, the fear of being hurt by me made him lose the courage to look me in the eye. Instead, he just muttered in disbelief, repeating, are you still Sterling? Are you still Sterling?" I curled the corner of my mouth. "So just accept your fate and don't make me angry again." After saying that, I walked out of the room, slamming the door shut with a loud bang. I lit a cigarette, slumped onto the sofa in the living room, and took a few deep, satisfying drags, feeling completely relaxed in both body and mind. Then I answered my dad's call. "Dad, have you found the person?" "Okay, I'll head over now." I walked into the restaurant we had agreed upon and spotted Xander almost immediately. He stood tall and handsome, with the spirited look of a determined young man. When he shook my hand, his eyes were clear and bright, and his words were sincere and straightforward. "Miss Sterling, I heard from your father that you're interested in investing in my project. I won't let you down." As I looked at the proposal he handed me, a document I had already reviewed countless times, I felt a wave of regret in my heart. In my previous life, I first saw his bid online, a project named Shonen, which was a fully intelligent AI companionship plan that inspired my admiration and revealed a business opportunity. Before marriage, I persuaded Yancey to invest in this project together with my family. Later, Yancey's family leveraged this project to rise into the elite circle, becoming the local wealthiest family. However, after my marriage fell apart, Yancey imprisoned and abused me, threatening to release the most compromising videos of me to force my parents to hand over their original shares and completely oust me from the picture. Xander, too, endured endless hardships within such a family-run enterprise like Yancey's, from his initial passion to having his work stolen by the most trusted team, being falsely accused of plagiarism, and ultimately having his future ruined. Reaching the end of the road, he ran to Yancey's villa, wanting to ask Yancey, his former patron, why he had personally destroyed his talent. Yancey was not there, only me, who was circling mechanically in the garden like a prisoner allowed out for exercise. We stared at each other through the iron gate. He looked haggard and unkempt, like a madman. I looked withered and absent-minded, like a fool. "I'm sorry, I was the one who chose you, I'm the one who harmed you." I felt ashamed and full of remorse. Xander suddenly understood, "So, it wasn't Yancey. It was you. Don't blame yourself, don't blame me, for trusting the wrong person. In my past life, Xander died earlier than I did. He risked everything to steal evidence of Yancey's illegal smuggling, submitting the incriminating documents one by one in the last second before he was killed. A prodigious talent, destroyed by vulgar evil. In this life, the tragedy of mutual destruction will not have to happen to him." I took out the contract I had prepared long ago. "These are the conditions I've laid out. During the contract period, you'll have the greatest freedom and authority. Also, there's one more important point. Once the product is launched, the chief planner's column will forever bear your name. Although my family isn't a large enterprise, we excel at financing. This project is enough for me to turn the tables decisively in front of the Yancey family. As for how to make them self-destruct? There's someone already chosen to charge into battle for me." Hearing my assurance, Xander looked stunned for a moment, then a look of instant familiarity and delight appeared on his face. He is a rigorous and proud person. To him, nothing is more important than the act of signing. "You trust me a lot." He smiled, with a cute little bracket-like dimple at the corner of his mouth. "Can you tell me why?" "Felt a connection at first sight," I said. "The moment I saw you, I felt you would trust me too." He didn't ask further. Without hesitation, he pulled out a pen and swiftly signed his name on the contract. Then he extended his hand, his deep eyes shimmering with a sparkle of starlight. "Looking forward to working together." After signing the contract, Xander went to the studio I had prepared for him. I had a meal with my parents. After being reborn, I immediately told them my plan. They have always trusted me and, with barely any hesitation, pretended to reluctantly agree to my marriage with Yancey, then used their connections to help me win Xander over from a group of investors. "Sweetie, eat more. Mom always feels like you've lost weight." My mother is a gentle and beautiful woman. Remembering how our family was left destitute for my sake in my previous life, to the point where she couldn't even afford a decent lipstick, my heart felt gripped, squeezing out endless hatred. My father spoke little, just kept piling food into my bowl. I ate ravenously. Once full, I'd have the strength to deal with people. Our family of 3 didn't chat much. After the meal, we each went about our own tasks with unspoken understanding. I returned to the home I shared with Yancey. As expected, he hadn't cleaned up the mess scattered all over the floor. For a spoiled young master like him, no matter how aggrieved he felt, his first instinct was always to blame others and seek shelter. He wasn't about to abandon his entitled nature just because he got a beating. So I didn't waste words on him either, simply grabbed his hair and dragged him downstairs. Underneath the floorboards is a basement I specifically had the workers dig out during the renovation. No. Please don't. Sterling, have you lost your mind? You can't do this to me. It was only then that he snapped awake, realizing what he was about to face. Struggling frantically, he broke down in a pitiful sob. My parents won't let you get away with this. Won't let me get away with it? I flung him directly onto the simple mattress in the basement. Then I grabbed his jaw tightly, forcing him to look up and meet my gaze. Your parents have already sold you to me. They're afraid that having you at home will affect their company's stock, ruin their reputations. They're in a hurry to make me the scapegoat. And your beloved Yvonne, she thinks you're filthy and wants nothing to do with you either. Do I need to remind you why? Do I? With one hand, I turned on the projector, and with the other, I pressed his head firmly, forcing him to look at the massive screen. A video shot from a sneaky phone angle suddenly appeared before Yancey's eyes. That familiar, chilling alleyway that carried countless nightmares for him. And his own naive, brayed back as he charged in recklessly. As the camera drew closer, those spectral figures, with their bone-chilling laughter, emerged and gradually closed in, trapping the defenseless lamb with nowhere to hide. Ah! Yancey screamed shrilly, his fractured cries intertwining with the wails from the video, weaving together a hauntingly beautiful dirge. I watched it on repeat. Finally, as Yancey's sweat soaked my fingers, I released him. Dehydrated and broken, he had turned pale, wrinkled beyond recognition, his body soiled and filthy. I nudged the only clean spot on his shirt with the tip of my shoe. Go on, go tell your parents. Let them appreciate how I persecuted you. Or, how about I just post the video online? Let everyone see it, take pity on you, and judge the situation for you. No, don't, please don't. Yancey was finally scared, utterly terrified. He finally realized that I wasn't just venting my anger on him, nor was this a moment of losing control. I was thoroughly making him wish he were dead. I was wrong. I was wrong. He fumbled helplessly, wanting to grab the hem of my pants but fearing I'd find his hands dirty. Instead, he curled his hands in front of him, sobbing continuously and pleading, I won't dare, never again, please don't post it, don't show it to anyone, I'll obey. Whatever you say from now on, I'll obey. Very good, I smiled, patting his sweaty face. Remember what you said, I place great importance on family harmony. In a few days, your parents will come to see you. I hope they are fully satisfied with and respectful of me, their daughter-in-law. You don't need me to teach you how to handle that, right? On the day Yancey's parents came to visit, Yvonne arrived as well. She linked arms with Mrs. Grace, Yancey's mother, and condescendingly remarked, Sterling, Auntie invited me along because she says I know Yancey best. If there's anything you're not doing quite right, I can point it out right away, so you don't struggle to figure it out and upset Yancey. Mrs. Grace chimed in, as if it were natural, Sterling, don't be upset with me. The men in our family are hard to please, it's too much for you to handle on your own. I smiled and stepped aside from the doorway. How could he bear to make me serve him? He said, starting today, he's going to take good care of me. So they had just stepped inside. They saw Yancey, who couldn't even use a wheelchair, carefully carrying a dish prepared by the housekeeper, cautiously placing it on the dining table. In just a few days, he had lost a lot of weight, with dark circles under his eyes. Upon seeing his parents and Yvonne, there was no joy in his gaze, only a layer of complex exhaustion and weariness. Dad, Mom. Yvonne. Please have a seat. There's one more fish dish, it'll be ready in a moment. Nonsense. Mr. Marcus roared in disbelief. He immediately reached out to support Yancey. How could you do these things? These are tasks for servants. For women. You're here to enjoy a life of ease. Sit down at once. He turned back and glared at me angrily. Sterling. A woman should regard her husband as supreme. You've gone too far. No, no. Yancey was terrified and backed away repeatedly. Ever since the incident, he had become extremely resistant to men. Trembling, he continued to retreat but accidentally stumbled and fell to the ground. Yancey! Mrs. Grace cried out in distress, and it took both her and Yvonne great effort to awkwardly lift Yancey back to his feet. She glared at me angrily. Sterling. We entrusted Yancey to you, how could you mistreat him? How dare you make our son serve dishes? Do you have any idea we've never made him serve dishes at home? Brother Yancey, did Sterling force you to do this? Don't be afraid. Tell us, Aunt and Uncle will stand up for you. Yvonne chimed in. Then she looked at me with a commanding tone. Sterling, what are you still sitting there for? Hurry up and... No need. Yancey reacted almost reflexively, pulling his hand back from her and his mother's grasp. He was drenched in sweat, his eyes downcast, not daring to look at anyone. I'm willing to do this, it has nothing to do with Sterling. I want to serve her, just leave us alone. Brother Yancey. Yvonne was shocked. She grabbed Yancey's arm anxiously. You're so exceptional. Marrying Sterling was already a blessing for her. If I had known she would torment you like this. Her voice choked with tears, her eyes brimming with sorrow, she said pitifully, I shouldn't have given you up to her back then. Yancey, after all, couldn't bear to see Yvonne like this, and his own eyes grew red. Yvonne. Really? Then you should go serve him. I spoke lightly. The other 4 people in the room all turned to look at me. Yvonne was stunned. What did you say? I took my time and said, Yvonne, since you love Yancey so much, why don't you move in to take care of him, fetch his waste, bathe him, wash his feet? Love conquers all, don't just talk the talk. Yvonne's expression suddenly turned panicked. What nonsense are you spouting? Yvonne. Yancey grabbed her hand, looking at her with hope. Really? You can stay. Yvonne abruptly shook him off, as if throwing away a snake. No. Seeing Yancey's stunned and hurt expression, she began to deliver a sorrowful moral condemnation. Yancey, we can't do this. After all, you're already married. Getting too close to me would be unfair to Sterling. Do you want me to become the other woman? She gazed at me gloomily. And Sterling, you know very well how Yancey and I feel about each other. Having us spend all our time together, are you testing me? What are you afraid of? I interrupted her. Yancey's already like this, what could possibly happen between you two while you're together day and night? Even the most capable housewife can't cook a meal without rice, isn't that right? I don't have as many thoughts as you do. I just want Yancey to be happy. I tilted my head and looked at Yancey, who had turned pale from my harsh words. Yancey, if Yvonne stays, will you be happy? Yancey was so unnerved by my stare that he wanted Yvonne with him even more. He grabbed her arm again, pleading, Yvonne, please, just for my sake. Yvonne hesitated, racking her brain for a way to refuse. Then it's settled. I put an end to the discussion with finality. Yvonne was completely frantic. What's settled? How is it settled? What gives you the right to decide for me? Let me tell you, I won't agree. You're trying to dump this trouble on me. Yvonne. Mrs. Grace grabbed her and pushed her into the inner room. I know you feel burdened, it's okay. Talk to your aunt about whatever's on your mind, I understand you. Let's go inside and talk. Without another word, Mrs. Grace pulled Yvonne inside. The door closed with a bang. In the living room, there was a dead silence. Yancey seemed dazed, yet still refused to give up, staring intently at that tightly closed door. Mr. Marcus coldly scrutinized me, his tone threatening. Sterling, are you trying to play tricks in front of us adults? Do you not want your family's business to survive the next quarter? His family is the biggest client of my family. In my past life, out of respect for our long-standing relationship, my family gave up collaborating with better investors and formed a deep bond with them. This led to repeated manipulation through orders and forced us to swallow our pride after I got married. But now, the excellence of the Dome Security project has secured us many high-quality resources. Yesterday, my mother already leveraged her gatherings with wealthy ladies to establish connections, and many big shots have signed letters of intent. We will no longer be at the mercy of others. So I casually retorted, business is business. If you won't do it, plenty of others will. Relying on seniority to act high and mighty is just plain unethical. I suggest you mind your own business. Mr. Marcus's face instantly darkened. His gaze toward me held more scrutiny and contemplation. He would likely investigate the projects my family has been working on recently. That suits me just fine, I only fear he won't look into it. At that moment, Yvonne finally emerged from the house with Mrs. Grace. Mrs. Grace must have paid a hefty sum, and Yvonne's understanding expression couldn't quite hide her greed. Sterling, I promise you, starting tomorrow, I'll come keep Yancey company. Who made me worry about him so much? With me here, you better not even think about bullying him. I smiled and raised my glass. Sounds good, here's to our exciting future ahead. Cheers. Everyone willingly stepped into the roles I had meticulously designed for them. Your downfall will make my story all the more thrilling. That evening, Yancey was buzzing with excitement. He even seemed to regain the courage to provoke me. Sterling, I never expected you to let Yvonne and me be together. Since your anger has subsided, I hope we can all coexist peacefully from now on. I glanced at him impassively, projecting the surveillance footage onto the large screen. Peace or nuclear peace, the choice is yours. On the screen was the scene of Yvonne arguing with Lady Grace in the room. The Yvonne in the footage had completely shed her gentle, school beauty persona. She was hysterical and nitpicking over every detail. That's enough, isn't it? I've been playing along with your little act, but now you actually want me to take care of that cripple? Do you have any idea how bad he smells? You expect me to handle his waste? I'd rather die than do that. I was just too kind back then. I shouldn't have pitted you rich people. Offering such a small reward and thinking you could buy my dignity? If you want me to accompany him, then name your price. I'll make him happy, but whether I actually work or not is none of your concern. Only when Mrs. Grace compromised and transferred money to her using her phone did she reveal a smile, greedy, disgusted, and malicious. It shattered the beautiful filter in Yancey's heart without a shred of mercy, breaking it into pieces. He could only open his mouth wide, helpless and panicked as he stared at the screen, so distressed that he retched madly but couldn't even manage to vomit. Finally, a wretched cry tore from the depths of his throat. Boundless sorrow, wrapped in a thick sense of hatred. He wailed like a beggar who had been robbed, or like an idiot who had just realized he was an idiot. Anyway, I had no interest in listening any longer and simply closed the door. I went back inside, took a shower, and slept soundly. As for Yvonne's arrival tomorrow, I was very much looking forward to it. Yvonne has arrived. Wearing that same shirt dress she often wore back in her university days. Sitting calmly beside Yancey, maintaining just the right distance, her expression gentle yet tinged with cautious testing. Yancey, sitting side by side like this, doesn't it feel like we're back in university classes? Do you remember back then, you promised me you'd let me live an easy and happy life, that you'd solve everything for me. It was almost a direct hint to Yancey that she didn't want to be his caregiver. Unfortunately, Yancey is no longer the Yancey from before. A post-breakup clarity can be even more terrifying than the confusion that preceded it. Yancey's eyes faintly lit up when she mentioned her school days, then were quickly drowned in a strange, deep darkness. Ignoring Yvonne's hint, he said coldly, I smell bad, I need to wash up. Yvonne was taken aback but then naturally ordered me, who was standing nearby, you're his wife, go with him. It's not appropriate for me. But Yancey suddenly grabbed her, I want you to wash me. Yvonne was scared to death and shook him off fiercely. "Brother Yancey." But then she was tightly grasped by Yancey. "Or do you think I'm dirty? Are you afraid that your noble hands will be tainted? Bitch. What are you pretending for?" His face flushed crimson with anger, twisted, and ferocious. Using all his strength, he made it impossible for Yvonne to break free. "Didn't you take the money? Huh? My mom gave you so much money, it means you're sold to me. You think I'm dirty? How clean are you? If you're not serving me, who else would you serve? The money my family gave you is enough to buy your life." An unprecedented ruthlessness sent shivers down Yvonne's spine. She screamed and struggled to break free. "Let go. Let me go." Yancey paid no attention. He was utterly desperate, insane. He grabbed the scalding tea his aunt had just poured and, catching Yvonne completely off guard, flung it in her face. "You tricked me. Using this innocent, pure face of yours, you tricked me." Yvonne screamed, rolling on the ground. She kept crying out in pain, the skin visible between her fingers covered in enormous blisters. But Yancey wasn't satisfied yet. "He probably learned from me," grabbing Yvonne by the hair and dragging her toward the bathroom. "Will you clean it or not? Huh? If you don't, I'll kill you." Yvonne was terrified. The pain in her head and face made her weak, leaving her with nothing but sobbing pleas. "I'll wash, don't drag me. I'll wash, wah wah wah." In the end, trembling uncontrollably, she reluctantly knelt by Yancey's leg. Looking at the full colostomy bag, her face was filled with disgust and struggle. But there was no way out. Under Yancey's deathly stare, she shook as she tried to open it, only to accidentally hurt the other. Yancey said coldly, "Worthless." Without any further hesitation, my hand reached for the back of Yvonne's head and forced it down violently. The scene was gruesome. It was like blending molten gold with iron sparks. The moment Yvonne's face rose with a scream, it was already unrecognizable. She touched her own face in disbelief. From collapse to fury, she completely lost all restraint. She lunged at Yancey, grappling with him. "You worthless cripple. Living such a miserable life yourself, so you won't let me be happy? You'll pay for my face. If it's not healed, I'll make you pay with your life." Throughout it all, I watched coldly, like dogs tearing at each other. When they were utterly exhausted, I called Madame Grace. In the end, a disheveled Yvonne was dragged away by the security guards Madame Grace had brought. Lady Grace even raised her precious hand and fiercely slapped Yvonne. "You wretch! You wretch! How could you be so ruthless to my son? Try mentioning reporting to the police again, and I'll make you disappear for good, believe it or not." She glanced at me a couple more times, probably wanting to slap me too. But her son had too many weaknesses in my hands. How could I let her lay a hand on me? Yancey didn't dare leave with her either. With no other choice, Lady Grace had to leave unwillingly. As she left, Yvonne was still yelling about suing them, but unfortunately, she was already in their grasp, likely never to have that chance again. From that day on, I threw Yancey back into the basement. "Our ties are severed. From now on, you'll stay here. I won't disturb you or come to see you." At first, he felt a sense of relief, even a satisfaction at not having to see me. But before long, he began to panic. Because truly no one came, the entire basement was frighteningly quiet, with not even a single window in its sealed walls. It felt as if time itself had stopped flowing. The only proof that he still had any connection to the outside world was the 2 meals delivered by the small elevator. A person simply cannot endure complete isolation, especially without a phone or any means of entertainment. Every minute, every second, an overwhelming loneliness gnawed at him like a relentless parasite, steadily eroding his sanity and resolve. He started talking to himself, then shouting, banging on the walls and slamming against the door, desperately seeking even the slightest, most insignificant bit of attention. But there was none. All around was silent, with no one responding to his breakdown. Overwhelming panic enveloped him, even surpassing his fear of me. Almost instinctively, he began calling out my name repeatedly. "Sterling! Sterling! Sterling!" Are you there? Please answer me. Sterling. I'm hurting. Let me out, now. Do you hear me? I'll die if I stay in here. To get a response, he didn't hesitate to lie, sugarcoating everything. I am your husband. You can't treat me like this. I actually don't hate you. I haven't hated you for a long time. I will try to love you, and we will live a good life together. Sterling? I was wrong. I was really wrong. Save me, Sterling. 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 Of course, I couldn't hear his heart-wrenching confession. During these days, I'd been busy working on my career with Xander. Even though I already knew he was exceptional, seeing his business strategies and brilliant technological insights firsthand in this lifetime still pleasantly surprised me. And based on my own experience, I summarized a few areas that could be improved and innovated. As we refined these ideas, we got along quite harmoniously. The day the basic model passed the test, Xander's eyes welled up with emotion, reddening and glistening. He blinked back tears, trying to hold them in, looking too embarrassed to cry. It made his face appear especially fair and delicate. Having lived 2 lifetimes, I thought his college student-like demeanor was rather endearing and couldn't resist teasing him. Are you crying already, fortune god? What'll happen when you become a billionaire someday? Won't your company get flooded by your tears? He looked up at me, his gaze unusually firm and sincere. I don't need to become a billionaire. I just want to keep working here, with you, with our team. Every 100 million, every billion, it's all for you. I know, he feels grateful toward me, it's appreciation based on cooperation. But those eyes that seem full of affection for everyone still make your heart burn just looking at them. Suddenly, I feel a bit restless. Both lives I've lived have been hard. I haven't truly had a truly happy romance in my prime years. So I blurted out, Xander, I'm kind of attracted to your looks. I heard you don't have a girlfriend, mind if I pursue you? I've got quite a few tricks up my sleeve. Xander froze. His ears reddened at a speed visible to the naked eye. No, don't, he lowered his head, his voice growing softer. Got rejected, and I'm a bit disappointed. In novels, heroines who get a second chance always end up with a handsome new love interest, right? Reality sure is brutal. You don't need all those tricks, Xander suddenly spoke up again. He nervously clenched his hands and then scratched his hair. I'm, still pretty easy to pursue, just be genuine. Huh? I perked up, sounds promising. I'm being completely sincere, I said seriously, tentatively reaching out to take his hand. But there are still a few things I need to handle properly. Wait for me, okay? Of course, the things I needed to handle concerned the Yancey family. By the time I returned, Yancey had already been locked up for over half a month. He was emaciated, lying on the basement floor like a pile of mud. The moment I opened the door, that pile of mud suddenly lit up as if with a final surge of life, eagerly crawling toward me. Sterling. Sterling, I behaved. I really have. Please don't abandon me. I dragged him into the bathroom and gave him a thorough wash. Then I changed the bedding, wrapped him in a warm quilt, and put on a look of restrained heartache. Didn't you despise me? Why are you hoping for my return? He shivered violently. Cautiously, he drew closer to me. In the past, I was too cold. I was ungrateful and ignorant. From now on, I won't be like that again. I beg you, don't leave me alone. Sterling, there's no life in this room. I can't tell day from night. I'm so scared, all alone. Will you stay with me, please? If this goes on, I'll go mad. I knew he wasn't lying. In my past life, he had locked me up like this before. The endless stretch of time was like Iceland's midnight sun, filled with light, yet torturously longing for darkness. Even if darkness would swallow a person whole, I couldn't help but become obsessed with the change. In my previous life, I was just like this, suffering from severe Stockholm syndrome. I became infatuated with Yancey, the perpetrator, and only found liberation in death. Now that the roles have reversed, no one understands better than I do how to make him suffer. It's too late. When I liked you, you devoted all your attention to someone else, completely ignoring the good I did for you. Now you say you've changed, how am I supposed to believe you? Yancey, people can't have it both ways. He couldn't argue back and started crying sorrowfully at my words. He looked so broken, so in need of someone to compromise and comfort him. So I perfunctorily acted along. All right, I get it. I'll come see you when I have time, so stop crying. In the days that followed, I continued to disappear frequently. Only now, I would appear before Yancey at irregular intervals, with most of these encounters being extremely brief. Yet my words planted a strong psychological suggestion in Yancey's mind. He began to think of me constantly, replaying over and over the crush I once had on him and all the things I had silently done for him. He started having hallucinations, apologizing to the air, confessing his regrets, and slapping himself in the face. In the surveillance footage, scenes of his self-indulgent pursuit of reconciliation played out like a tragic farce. Yancey's parents came to see him a few times, but they were terrified by his deranged state. The way they looked at me was as if I were a human trafficker. Mr. Marcus, in particular, grew more and more grim-faced with each visit. I knew he was waiting for an opportunity to bring me to justice. This opportunity came unexpectedly because with the dome system, Xander participated in various exchange meetings and international award ceremonies. In the previous life, Mr. Marcus kept all the benefits to himself, never giving Xander any chance to shine, and instead only spent money on domestic marketing. In this life, I am building on Xander's personal reputation. His success only fueled Mr. Marcus's determination to secure him at all costs. Just a few days later, Xander told me that Mr. Marcus had offered him a substantial commission to poach him. At first, I was quite tempted by that money, but that old man really looked like he was asking for a beating. Rather than staring at his old face every day with all that wealth, I'd much rather stay here with no worries about food or drink, and maybe even get chased by a beauty like Missin. Xander said it with a serious tone, but deep down, he was secretly pleased and fishing for compliments. Ever since I started chasing him for a while, he's gotten a bit cheeky. I rewarded him by scratching his chin. Such a femme fatale you are. Handsome, you're so in demand, have you ever considered trying your hand at being a corporate spy? Xander widened his eyes, gleaming with curiosity and eagerness. Teach me. One rejection did not dissuade Mr. Marcus. He came to see Xander a few more times. Xander did as I instructed and gave a push and pull. Mr. Marcus, Sterling has already reached an agreement with suppliers to acquire all scarce supplies and raw materials at the lowest price. Just this alone saves costs in the hundreds of millions, not to mention the free promotions from major international corporations. I'm afraid that's something a medium-sized enterprise like yours cannot match. He then softened his stance. However, I am genuinely moved by your sincerity. At this price, it would be rude for me to remain indifferent. Alright, if you can keep the startup costs below 300 million, I can agree to your request. I'll handle the connections with those companies. Xander's greatest strength is having a sincere face. Even when lying, he appears incredibly genuine. Mr. Marcus is an arrogant capitalist who loves to manipulate the flattery and naivety of the younger generation. Just as he looked down on me in my previous life, this time, he also underestimated his opponent. Falsifying accounts couldn't stump him. As for the costs, when the land route was blocked, he took to the water, just like in his past life when he resorted to smuggling to go public as quickly as possible. So, under Mr. Marcus's watchful eye, Xander and I put on one dramatic showdown after another. He would subtly criticize me online as a greedy boss, and I would hint that he was repaying kindness with betrayal. The business tycoons who invested in us have all sided with Xander. In Mr. Marcus's eyes, I was abandoned by both Xander and the capital, left in a miserable situation. In the eyes of the capital, Mr. Marcus was nothing more than a free appetizer used for hype. Once he bit off more than he could chew, his failure would serve as a perfect opportunity to generate momentum for the project. As for Yancey, I played my part to the fullest. I left him hanging for an entire month, only returning after he had waited in the basement until he was utterly hopeless and had attempted suicide by cutting his wrist. The first thing he did upon waking up in the hospital was cling to me, begging for a hug. Of course, I didn't let him have his way. I pushed him away and said, "Your family has already ruined me like this, so why are you still here pretending to care? Hurry up and go back home to live your life as the young master. I want a divorce." Yancey was instantly terrified. Without knowing what to do, he started crying, even angrier than I was. What did they do to you? Tell me. I'll go talk to them. I'm their only son, they'll listen to me. He frantically tried to distance himself. Sterling, you can't take it out on me. I don't know anything, I really don't. Don't know? Go ask your wonderful father. I continued to push his buttons. He really dotes on you, doesn't he? For your sake, he didn't hesitate to undermine his own daughter-in-law's efforts. And now, my project has been halted, and I'm about to go bankrupt. I grabbed his neck fiercely. I just wonder, how did he manage to raise that much money? What else is it if not underhanded tactics? Your family is shady, and you're nothing but bad luck. After finishing speaking, ignoring his pleas, I had the bodyguards throw him back to his own house. As he desperately clung to the car door, begging me to give him a chance to convince his parents, I delivered the final blow: stop pretending to be so devoted. I will never rest until I've settled things with your family. Do you really think you'd give up your parents and choose me? I don't believe it. Because of these words, Yancey fell silent. Then, his gaze turned with a fervor I had never seen before. No, Sterling. I would choose you. Only you can give me the sense of security I crave. My greatest wish in this life is to stay by your side forever. I will take care of everything for you. Wait for me. I scoffed, turned, and walked away, but the corner of my mouth curled up. Good. It was worth all the effort I had put into dropping hints for so long. Not long after Yancey returned home, I publicly announced that the project was on hold. In front of my mother, Lady Grace clearly became arrogant. Cherish the days when you can still have afternoon tea with your sisters. It'll be hard to gather like this in the future. Who told your daughter to be so troublesome? The family savings have all been squandered, haven't they? Heaven sees everything, and people are watching too. The wrong Sterling did to my son will be repaid to her step by step. On the day of the knockoff Ancheong project launch event, Mr. Marcus sent me an invitation that read, "Ms. Sterling is cordially invited to witness the collapse of her own wonderful life." I have gone. During this period, I also submitted the evidence Yancey sent me regarding the falsified accounts in the coalition's joint departments and the corresponding recordings of overseas smuggling operations to Customs and the Tax Bureau. I consulted with the most authoritative psychologists. Stockholm Syndrome is like this: the early stages of leaving are the hardest to overcome, and the more you try to break free, the crazier it gets. When Yancey sent me the evidence, his voice was filled with madness. "Sterling. They're finished. They're going to be ruined. Aren't you happy? Ha 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 ha. My dad is so easy to fool. He actually thinks that after everything I've been through, I can still be his obedient, successful son? He's dreaming. He tore us apart, so I'll let him watch me fall apart. No one gets to be happy." At the press conference, Mr. Marcus stood in the spotlight, impeccably dressed in a suit, passionately outlining his business blueprint. Yancey sat below, his face ashen, yet bizarrely spirited, his eyes gleaming with a strange mix of excitement and destruction. Finally, Yancey's parents stepped onto the stage together, raising their glasses in a toast. The doors to the press conference were suddenly flung open from the outside. Uniformed customs officials and tax inspectors filed in. Amidst the gasps of surprise, camera flashes erupted in the audience. The wide, smug smiles on Yancey's parents' faces froze and turned pale when they saw the enforcement documents. They looked like two faded, desiccated wax figures. Misunderstanding? This must all be a misunderstanding. Please, have a seat. Let's talk this over calmly, calmly. Before being arrested, Mr. Marcus tried to deny the accusations. "What is this? How did you get this?" No, it's fake. It must be AI generated." Upon seeing the evidence presented by customs and tax officials, he desperately denied everything. Who exactly betrayed me? If I find out who it is, just wait and see." Unable to deny it any longer, he began to break down, shouting threats. Mrs. Grace was crying so hard that her hair became disheveled. She tightly hugged Yancy, who remained expressionless. "My child, our family's company is going to be finished. What should we do? How will we, mother and son, manage? How will we live?" Yancy's voice drifted down lightly from above her head. "I can live just fine. Sterling will take care of me. As for you two, well, it's hard to say." Mrs. Grace suddenly widened her eyes, looking at Yancy as if seeing a stranger. "Yancy, what nonsense are you talking about?" Yancy laughed, a terrifyingly eerie laugh. He. "How wonderful. Now that you're done for, I can finally be with Sterling." "You deserve it. Who told you to mess with my wife? Do you have any idea how much I love her? You provoked her, you deserve to die. You deserve it." "It's you?" Mr. Marcus clutched his chest, pointing a trembling finger at Yancy. Mrs. Grace was even more devastated. She covered her head, crouched on the ground, and wailed incessantly. "Such a sin. Such a wickedness. The disgrace of this family." Thanks to Yancy's testimony, Mr. Marcus was quickly convicted. However, before he could even be sent to prison, he suffered a heart attack and ended up in the ICU. After his assets were frozen, Mrs. Grace, unable to bear the crushing debt, simply gave up on his treatment. Mr. Marcus lingered at home for 3 days before he finally passed away. As for Yancy, who had gone mad, he ignored his mother who had cried herself blind. Instead, he came straight to my place looking for me. He kept pounding on my door. Sterling, I'm back. I kept my promise, my dad's dead, my mom's gone mad. They've both suffered terribly. Can you let me come home now?" But I was no longer there, I had moved. With Xander, we bought a big villa, starting off as roommates before things turned romantic. "Is this what you meant when you said there were things to resolve?" Xander fell into deep thought after learning about my past with Yancy. I was a bit displeased. "You're not going to tell me you mind that I've been married before, are you? I'm not chasing after someone who's obsessed with pure partners." He looked at me speechlessly. Am I not allowed to express my contempt for that former rival of mine who just couldn't measure up? The next day, Xander went to my old residence to confront Yancy, personally delivering a legal summons. It was a divorce lawsuit I filed on the grounds that Yancy's physiological dysfunction and psychological illness made it impossible for us to lead a normal married life. To kill a person is one thing, to break their spirit is another. However, Yancy didn't make it to the court hearing. He was kidnapped. A week later, he was found in a filthy alleyway of a certain urban village. Dead, and in a horrific way. The criminals were a few local, desperate young thugs. From the existing surveillance footage, the police could see a woman wearing a mask and a hat luring Yancy into the urban village. Looking at her height and build, the image of Yvonne's disfigured face flashed through my mind in an instant. She was incredibly resilient, still alive after all this. I immediately provided the police with this lead. On the day Yvonne was arrested, the Incheon project went public. After Mr. Marcus's clown-like performance, both inside and outside the industry, there has been a huge surge of interest in the Incheon intelligent care product. Starting with celebrities, almost every household has equipped their vulnerable members with one. Gradually, it has covered ordinary consumers as well. The sales figures are even more impressive than in my previous life. Every day when I wake up, the deposits in my bank account dazzle me. But something else shines even brighter. It's Xander, sleeping beside me, radiating boundless spring charm.